the heightened discussion of the lead issue in the public, it's worthwhile to retrace our steps and maybe provide some comprehensive context to this issue so people know what the facts are, what the baseline data is, and what exactly the city is doing, is not doing, and what we're legally allowed to do and what we're legally prohibited from doing in the case of a lot of these lead service line issues.
What is a service line? It's the length of pipe that connects the water main to the home at the meter.
Am I correct in understanding and assuming that the portion of the service line from the curb stop to the home is private property?
That's correct.
Okay, and of course, there's also plumbing inside the house, which can be lead, correct?
Correct.
And that's also owned by the property owner, correct?
That's correct.
So the portion of the service line from the curb stop to the house is really no different a part of the house than the house's roof, porch, doorways, furnace. City workers are precluded from working on the private side.
That's correct.
But there's a lot of coordination.
We couldn't send our crews in to replace the private side of the water lateral even if we wanted to.
Correct.
Is that our own law or state law?
That's
State
state
law.
law.
Oh, really?
Really?
The study that was done was in relation to water main replacement and the disruption that was caused based on a cutting that would lead to some measure of vibration or other things that would, in good likelihood, dislodge particles or flakes in the lead sewer line.
Partial replacements connected to water mains did in fact increase the level of leads in the water after the project. And it was found that there was a significant increase, and as a result, replacing both the public and private side is mandatory by ordinance. There are no partial replacements, no repairs.
So the city will replace its side, you replace your side, one contractor does the job all at once, and it was a private who did it both sides.
Right.
There's plenty of contractors able and willing to do work.
Right.
If added funding is available.
The constraint is money.
Because right now, the cost of this is falling on, we have some grants, the property tax levy, capital budget, and individual homeowners. So
On the private side, there's a lot of variance. And we have had some private sides come in as low as $2,000, and we've had them come in as high as $28,000.
it can be an extensive project depending on how the service line is situated on your property and what's on top of it in terms of structures such as porches and things of that sort.
The service line, which many of us believe is not just the tip of the iceberg or portion of the iceberg, we believe it to be the iceberg. That is not accurate. It's not accurate, not even remotely accurate. Between faucet and premise levels is, as a ballpark, close to about 40% of the lead on average in homes. Some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower, but on average, was lead that was derived from interior sources, internal sources of either solder, faucets, fixtures, and you can spend all this money on the front end, hundreds upon hundreds of millions, and still have a home have excessive levels. So you've spent $20,000 to replace a service line that hasn't remedied the problem, and the only thing that adequately addresses the problem is water properly used, certified lead water filters. That would pay for 200 properties to have water removing lead filters with a full years of replacement cartridges. There has to be a public education component about the importance of complying with this, because otherwise it's a defeating purpose of handing out the cost for a filter when the replacement cartridge, which is absolutely necessary, is not enacted. There are a number of daycare centers that are just turning, without sugarcoating it, turning a blind eye to this issue. And they are serving the most vulnerable of populations.
Since we already know factually that children under the age of 6 are most at risk, and if this is one way that we can help to protect at least some of those children, then I think it's incumbent upon us to do it.
I believe there was an effort to get drinking water testing required as a part of daycare licensing, and that has not advanced.
And many of these child care operators generally don't own the property that they're operating in. They're usually leasing it from an owner-occupied. If it requires a special use or variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals, something where maybe we can get something out there sooner than later, have DNS look at it where, okay, you have to notify your parents that are dropping your child off that you have lead service line, and subsequently also notify them that you don't have filters either. So I think, maybe the consumer can help drive a better outcome.
Well, maybe we don't have to spend $750 million replacing 74,000 lead surface lines. Maybe there are other technological approaches that, again, retain the positive attributes of lead while avoiding the health challenges.
Interior plumbing is an issue. And it's going to come down to a approved lining process that would go all the way from the corporation or the connection at the main all the way to the faucet. Fully lined, creating a permanent barrier between the whatever pipe you have and the water.
But if there's a possibility of lining lead pipes to eliminate the health hazard, but retaining the attributes of lead pipe, namely their flexibility and resistance to corrosion, it's arguably the best of both worlds, if one is willing to rely on the effectiveness of the lining process.